fascinating situation that's happening right now with reports that Victor Osimhen could be moving to Chelsea this summer. I don't actually know what's going to happen with Victor Osimhen. Also, remember we've told you that despite previous interest from a number of clubs, Chelsea have remained firmly in the race for the striker. Now, Sky Italy are reporting that Chelsea have been given encouragement in their pursuit of Victor Osimhen, with talks continuing over a potential deal. It'll be a move that Chelsea hope can be completed before the remaining transfer deadlines, and they've still got time to get this sorted. Chelsea do have a need to strengthen up front as well, and it's thought they'd like Victor Osimhen to lead the line for them this season. So it could be that Victor Osimhen applies his trade in the Premier League this campaign. And certainly Chelsea are one of the clubs pushing hardest to make that happen. As things stand, discussions continue behind the scenes, and there's growing belief that a deal can be found. Victor Osimhen remains one of the most talked about names in the transfer market, and Chelsea. So it could be that Victor Osimhen plies his trade in the Turkish league this season, but certainly it won't be with you across that story as it develops throughout the day here on Sky Sports.
Good point there on Potter and how this is the antithesis of how he usually works. How difficult is it to integrate so many new players, especially given the position Chelsea are in the league?
Look, if Chelsea can get Victor Osimhen for around £85 million, I don't think that's a problem at all. In today's market, when you're talking about one of the best strikers in world football, that's the sort of fee you're expecting to pay. Chelsea have spent years looking for a proper number 9. We've spoken about it on this show so many times. They've had good players, talented players, but they've not really had that elite centre-forward who guarantees goals every single season. When I watch Osimhen, I see a striker who can score all types of goals. He can run in behind. He's brilliant in the air. He's aggressive. Defenders don't enjoy playing against him. That's what Chelsea have been missing. People will focus on the £85 million, but what's the price of goals? What's the price of a striker who can get you 25 or 30 goals in a season? Those players are incredibly difficult to find. When one becomes available, top clubs have to be in the conversation. I actually think he'd suit the Premier League. Sometimes we talk about whether a player can adapt, but Osimhen's got the pace, the power and the personality for English.
OK, let's get to a potential injury concern for England then. And Declan Rice was seen leaving last night's draw against Ghana with strapping on his left calf. For the very latest, let's cross live to Boston and join our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solko. Lovely to see you, Kaveh. Look, let's talk about it then. How concerned do you think Thomas Tuchel will be about this?
I think he'll definitely be concerned. Look, what we found out over the last couple of days is Declan Rice himself admitting that he hasn't been 100% fit really all year. He said that he's been managing a slight hamstring injury and also issues with his lower back since the start of the year, and he said that was kept quiet by Arsenal because, of course, Arsenal always want to keep injury news about their players confidential, but it is something that he's spoken about. Now, we know after the first game against Croatia, he was substituted towards the end of the first half as a precaution because obviously Thomas Tuchel knew that he had this slight hamstring issue. And then yesterday he played the whole game, but we did see him making his way through the mix zone with strapping around his left calf. So that is another slight problem for Thomas Tuchel to have to deal with. Having said all that, England do have other players who can play in Declan Rice's position, especially with all due respect against Panama, and especially in a game where England need just a point to be 100% sure of progressing to the knockout stages.
Chelsea weren't supposed to be here. Just a few weeks ago, the race for Victor Osimhen looked wide open. Multiple clubs were monitoring the situation. Financial packages were being discussed behind the scenes. Agents were speaking to interested parties. Across Europe, executives believed there was still time to position themselves for one of the biggest striker transfers of the summer. Then everything changed. According to emerging reports, Chelsea accelerated. Not gradually, not cautiously, aggressively. And that's why today's headlines are creating so much noise throughout football. Victor Osimhen has become one of the most coveted forwards on the planet. In a market where elite goal scorers are increasingly difficult to find, the Nigerian international represents something every ambitious club wants: guaranteed threat. The modern game is full of talented attackers, but there are very few strikers who can completely alter how opponents defend. Osimhen is one of them. When defenders know he's on the pitch, they drop deeper. When midfielders know he's making runs, they play forward quicker. When supporters see him leading the line, confidence immediately increases. That's the value of a world-class center forward. And that's exactly why Chelsea appear determined to complete this move. What's fascinating about this transfer story isn't just the player. It's the timing. Chelsea know that football moves fast. One hesitation can cost a deal. One delayed negotiation can invite competition. One missed opportunity can haunt a club for years. The recruitment team reportedly understood that reality and moved before the situation became uncontrollable. That's where the phrase, "before rivals could react," becomes so important. Because transfers are often won long before official announcements arrive. They're won through preparation. They're won through planning. They're won through speed. Chelsea appear to have focused on all three. For supporters, the excitement goes beyond the transfer fee. The £84 million figure naturally attracts attention, but fans aren't discussing numbers as much as they're discussing possibilities. What would Chelsea look like with Osimhen? How many goals could he score? Could he become the missing piece in Xabi Alonso's project? Could this finally be the signing that changes Chelsea's attack? Those questions are dominating conversations across the fanbase. And for good reason. The club has spent years searching for consistency in front of goal. There have been moments of promise. There have been flashes of quality. But supporters have continued asking for a striker capable of carrying the attack during difficult periods. Osimhen's reputation suggests he can do exactly that. What makes him particularly dangerous is his unpredictability. Some forwards rely exclusively on service. Others rely exclusively on pace. Osimhen combines multiple strengths. He can score with his head. He can score with either foot. He can create chances from nothing. He can press relentlessly. And perhaps most importantly, he thrives under pressure. Those characteristics explain why so many clubs have admired him. Yet admiration alone doesn't win transfer races. Action does. Chelsea seem to have understood that. Another reason this story is attracting attention is because it aligns perfectly with the direction many supporters believe the club should be heading. For years, Chelsea have been assembling talented young players. The foundation is there. The potential is there. The infrastructure is there.